I will take that. That's a nice group at 25 yards. God, boy, it's steamy out here, isn't it? Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang, which is how I open every single video that I've ever made. And even still, I realize that a lot of viewers don't know that my channel name means something. The twang comes from the sound that bows make when they fire, and the bang comes from the sound that guns make when they fire. So you can imagine the excitement that I had when I first read about the Benjamin Pioneer Airbow, because it is a rifle that shoots arrows. Of course, it doesn't go twang or bang because it's a pre-charged pneumatic air rifle based on the Benjamin Bulldog 357 that I previously reviewed. But that also means it's the real deal. It's not a gimmick. It's a brand new category of hunting weapon that brings to the table some elements of a bow, some elements of a rifle, into something that's completely new. And that's why it's coming up next on Twang and Bang. Rifles that shoot arrows sound like they're straight out of a spy movie or science fiction, but they've actually been a reality in one form or another for quite some time. However, Benjamin brings us the first commercially viable arrow-slinging airgun in the new Pioneer Airbow. Based on the Benjamin Bulldog air rifle, the Airbow has a 33.5-inch long bullpup form factor that makes it very maneuverable for its 7-pound weight. Its onboard 3,000 psi reservoir feeds an integrated pressure regulator to allow 8 shots at full power per fill. The body is black synthetic with a trapezoidal shroud over the straw-like barrel. Picatinny runs a full length on the top with sling studs rear and front that will also allow mounting of a bipod. The top cocking bolt requires only 2 pounds of force, allowing easy cocking with either hand from a variety of positions. You can also use the lever to uncock the airbow without having to fire a shot. Instead of offering a separate camo airbow, Benjamin includes a Realtree AP decal kit so you can decide on the appearance that best meets your hunting needs. Since I mostly hunt from a blind, my preference is to leave the airbow naked to better disappear in the shadows. The airbow is only available as a package, complete with 3 arrows, a 6x40mm scope with an adjustable objective and multi-subtension reticle, scope rings, a Picatinny mountable quiver, and a padded sling. Due to the increased drop of even these blistering arrows compared to bullets, Benjamin also includes a Picatinny riser that elevates the bore 20 MOA into your line of sight. This is needed to allow the use of any AR-15 height sighting system like this ATN X-Sight 2 day-night optic. The arrows are built with 250 spine carbon fiber Victory ice shafts, differing from standard arrows only by a reinforcing collar bonded at the rear of the shaft. The arrows come with 100 grain bullet points but will accept any standard tip or broadhead. The Airbow uses a unique stem to fill the onboard reservoir. The stem inserts through either side of the reservoir, locking in place once the fill whip is pressurized. Once you close the tank valve and bleed the line, the fill stem easily pulls right out of the reservoir. Field point accuracy looked great at 25 yards, but I want to see what it can do with a Ramcat broadhead, which is one of the few broadheads designed to fly at the Airbow's 450 feet per second velocity. That's not too far off of my point of impact to field points. That's pretty good. That's a really good sign. Let's see how that groups. Excellent. Wow. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I love those Ramcats, man. So that's what happens when you don't put silicone on the shaft before shooting. That arrow is stuck in the target. I've got to use a knife to dig it out. But that is a Ramcat coming out of the second side of the target after hitting 2 times in the exact same place. It cut its way all the way through this broadhead target. But actually it makes it easier because all I have to do is unscrew the head and then just pull the shaft out. Wow. I'm almost afraid to shoot a 3rd time at this target. But I'm still going to do it anyway. That said, I angled the target just in case I hit the same spot again to ensure the arrow takes a different path through the block. Okay, so it's a little bit off. It's about a 1/2 inch. So I'll take it. 3 shots, 1/2 inch apart at 25 yards with a broadhead, traveling at a ridiculous speed. This is the broadhead that I would want to use with this. Fantastic. A couple cool things about these broadheads, if I can get this to focus. You can see these blades are now swept forward. That happens when you pull the ramcat out of the target. They'll swing forward. Same thing with an animal, but they're also sharpened on the back edge of all the blades. So it cuts on the way out. Makes it really easy to pull these out of a broadhead target. I love that. Love these just for that alone. But one of the things that I've noticed about these broadheads is, if you shoot them a couple times into a broadhead target, like that Reinhardt target, the tips start to curl. And that's already started to happen. I don't know if it's being picked up on the camera or not, but that might have had something to do with the fact that that third shot hitting about a ½ inch from those other two that were super close. Who knows? But I'll take it. I don't care. ½ inch group with a broadhead at 25 yards, that is a dead deer every time. I mean, I could stick that, you name what part of the heart you want the arrow, and I'll be able to hit it with a ½ inch group at 25 yards. The center point optic that comes in the package is all you're going to need to shoot this, to hunt with this. It's got an adjustable objective that'll adjust parallax out of your point of aim all the way down to 5 yards. It has multiple subtensions in the reticle, so you can zero at 1 yardage, like 25 yards, and then you'll be able to get your point of aim at different yardages on the reticle itself. You don't have to spin dials when you change yardages. Of course, just like the Benjamin Bulldog 357, I think the Airbow is going to be a really good predator hunting weapon, a really good hog hunting weapon, which means it's a good match for the ATN X-Sight 2. It's a digital day-night optic that will allow me to hunt at night. It will allow me to record my hunts at daytime or nighttime, and it also, with the latest software, gives me a choice of a crossbow reticle or a Milradian reticle. And here's what you see looking through the X-Sight 2 at night using the Milradian reticle. Not only is the target crystal clear, but my cant, declination, bearing, and the power setting are all displayed for me to see. That's not a lighted knock, of course, because the Airbow's arrows lack a knock entirely. I was as surprised as you probably are to learn that the infrared illuminator lights up the arrow vane so well, which would be very handy to track your hit on game at night. We've seen what the Airbow can do at 25 yards, but Benjamin claims consistent 2-inch groups at 50 yards, so I'm going to test that. I shot enough to get a rough zero that's good enough to get a group size. I'm aiming at the upper left yellow dot because it's replaceable in this Reinhardt target, and I imagine the Airbow is going to give it quite a beating. That's a 1.5-inch group at 50 yards. The second I shot in a row, actually. Instead of refining my zero here, I walked the target back to 100 yards to see what the Airbow could do at a distance generally reserved for firearms. Okay, I finally have a point of aim at 100 yards. Let's see if I can get a bullseye. 100 yards. 450 feet per second is extremely fast for an arrow, but listen to how long it takes the sound of the shot, then the arrow to get to my camera 100 yards away. Oh, incredible. Fantastic. I love this thing. Oh man, the wind is back again, messing me up, giving me a left to right push. I had two bullseyes in a row, and now I've gotten 2 off to the right. Still really close, but I want to get another bullseye. Oh, that did it. That's all I needed to do. I needed to bump it left a little bit. You can, I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but a gust of wind just came in right now. I think I did it. Awesome. Okay, so 2 bullseyes right in a row, and then the wind picked up again, and it bumped the arrow over to the right and a little high. I'm not sure why. I didn't even notice that. So for the 5th shot, I aimed right here, and that little bit of correction for the wind got me in a 5th shot. So I was able to get 5 shots in about 4 inches, at 100 yards with some wind. I mean, you could see the grass blowing. I'll take it. I'll take it. That's awesome. I love that Airbow. It's super fun to shoot, and it's certainly accurate enough. So a reasonable person would ask, why was there a zombie sitting on top of that archery target? And the answer is the zombie is also an archery target, and I put him there because I broke 2 arrows at 100 yards trying to find my point of aim. The drop was so different from 25 yards, 50 yards, 75 yards as I walked that little target out there. And so he saved a few arrows for me as I found that point of aim. I think the wind coming along the way it did, as frustrating as it was for me, actually illustrates a point when you're using arrows versus bullets. They get pushed by the wind a whole lot more. So just because you could do something on a range on a still day doesn't mean it's a good idea to do that in the field against a live animal. Environmental conditions really affect the point of impact of arrows a whole lot more than a bullet, especially considering the length they are, the vanes that are on it, and as fast as 450 feet per second is for an arrow, it's actually not that fast. I think there are really a lot of cool advantages to an airbow versus a crossbow. Of course, it's form factor. You don't have limbs sticking out. You don't have a string that you might catch on something, a string that you might cut in the field, which will just blow up your bow and make it a bad day. You don't have to worry about cocking your crossbow up in a stand or in a tight blind. You just lift this up and it's cocked. You can also uncock it. I'm going to pull the arrow out before I do that, which is the same thing you should do. Simply by holding this back, pulling the trigger, and now it's uncocked. That simple. And it's perfectly safe to dry fire it. You shouldn't do it on purpose, but there's no worries if you get ahead of yourself in practicing and you cock the airbow and you pull the trigger, you're not going to blow up your bow like you will a crossbow that doesn't have what they call an anti-dry fire mechanism. I think the other thing that really surprises me about the Airbow is that its list price is $1,000, although you can get it for just under $900 if you use the link in the video description to Air Gun Depot. They're the ones who helped arrange this for me as well. It's a really great resource, not just for air rifles and stuff like this Airbow, but the one drawback about this is that's just the price to get the Airbow and the package and everything. You still need to get something to fill it. If you're not already set up for pre-charged pneumatic rifles or paint guns or something like that, you're going to need to get a tank, and that's going to cost you another couple $100. This is actually not what you're going to get for a couple $100. I think this is probably a $600 tank, the setup and everything. And then you need to find a way to fill these tanks. So you need to know what you're getting into. You can't just buy the Airbow and the package for $900 and be ready to shoot. There's a little bit more to it. So that's the big drawback between the Airbow and a crossbow that I see for most people who are familiar with crossbows. But if you already have pre-charged pneumatic rifles, you're set for $900. You got a ready to shoot package. If you don't, it's something that I think you should consider because it is not only a really powerful hunting weapon, it's also super fun to shoot. If you want to learn more about the Pioneer Airbow, be sure to click the link in the video description below. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. You can see the links right here. And be sure to click right here to subscribe so you can see my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and I hope to see you next time.